James had been expecting an ordinary evening when he left his office, tired but ready to get home. But everything was about to change. Driving down a narrow road outside of the city, the headlights of his car seemed to fade into the pitch-black darkness. This was an area he hadn't visited in years, a quiet, abandoned stretch of land. He tried to find an alternate route, but something strange was happening. His GPS was malfunctioning, directing him off the main road and into the wilderness. The farther he went, the more the landscape turned desolate, dry trees, empty fields, and nothing else. It was well past midnight now, and a sense of unease began to settle in the pit of his stomach. But he had to keep going. He had to get home. Suddenly, the headlights caught something, a figure standing in the middle of the road. At first, James thought it might just be a trick of the light or the shadow of a tree. But as he got closer, he saw that it was a man walking slowly down the road, holding something in his hands. For a moment, James hesitated. No one came down this road at this hour, especially not on this forgotten path, but something urged him to approach. His car rolled forward, and as he neared the man, James noticed the oddity of the situation. This man was walking with a strange, deliberate pace, as though he were trapped in some silent rhythm. James rolled down the window slowly, his voice breaking the silence. "Can I help you?" he asked, trying to mask the growing unease in his voice. The man didn't respond. He just continued walking forward. Slowly, almost mechanically, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a strange object. It looked like a metal button, simple and plain, but something about it was unsettling. James was taken aback, unsure what to make of it. The man didn't speak a word, merely holding the object up, staring at it with vacant eyes. There was no fear, no urgency, just emptiness. James's instinct screamed at him that something was terribly wrong. He could feel the hairs on the back of his neck rise. But as quickly as the discomfort had come, it was replaced with a strange, impulsive need to leave. With his heart racing, he slammed his foot on the gas, speeding away from the man. But as he glanced back in the rearview mirror, he saw the figure, still walking, following the car at the same eerie pace. James's mind raced. He drove faster, desperate to put some distance between him and whatever was following him. But then, just as the thought that he had escaped settled in, something strange happened. The engine sputtered and stalled. The car rolled to a stop. Complete silence. No engine hum, no whine, just the oppressive stillness of the night. Panic surged through James. He tried to restart the engine, but nothing happened. The dashboard flickered once, then died completely. He grabbed his phone, hoping to call for help, but there was no signal. His heart pounded in his chest as the realization set in. He was stranded, alone, with no way to reach anyone. Then he heard it, a soft tapping against the car's window. He froze. Slowly, he turned his head, and there it was again, the man, standing right outside his car, staring at him with those empty, hollow eyes. Only this time, the man was closer, much closer. James's breath hitched in his throat. He couldn't move. The man's face was pressed against the window now, as if he were trying to look inside, trying to see James in a way that felt invasive and natural. In a blur of panic, James grabbed the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. The door was locked, frozen in place, as if the car itself were holding him hostage. That's when he realized something truly terrifying. The man wasn't real, not in the way he thought. He was a shadow, a remnant of something that had once been alive, but was no longer. The realization hit James like a punch to the gut. This man, this thing had been waiting for him. Suddenly, everything around him seemed to go still. Time stretched, and the night became a thick, suffocating blanket. He could feel the weight of something terrible looming over him, something that didn't belong in the world of the living. Then, without warning, the man's face was no longer at the window. It was inside the car. James screamed, but no sound escaped his mouth. His body froze, paralyzed by the cold terror that ran through him. The man's hands reached out from the darkness, and for the first time, James saw the truth in his eyes, empty, lifeless eyes. He wasn't just a ghost. He was a death that had never left. And just as quickly as he had appeared, the figure vanished. The car came to life again, the engine roaring back to life as if nothing had happened. James slammed the gas pedal, speeding away, heart racing, but the nightmare didn't end there. Days later, people who traveled down that same road reported seeing a figure. A man, standing alone in the middle of the road, just staring. His eyes, those lifeless, hollow eyes watching. And in the distance, behind them, someone could always feel the faintest tap on the window. And the question remained, had James truly escaped, or had he simply become part of the darkness that waited for someone else to find it?